Take a journey with me. We're at summer solstice 1972 in the valley in the mountains outside of Mendocino, California. Wet and muddy. On the morning of June 23rd, the city Singh Sahib, we called him the yogi in those days, he rode on horseback into the camp. He rode to the langar area where we were just finishing breakfast, and he stopped by a flagpole. We gathered around him. He had one of his students raise a flag of his own design. It's the Adishakti flag, that blue Adishakti against a field of yellow and white. Someone called out, "Bole Sonihal," something few of us had ever heard before. Someone else in the distance answered, "Sat Sri Akal." We were a little confused, didn't know what was going on. We had many strong feelings that we didn't understand. But what we did know was that we belonged where we were, that we were part of something that was forming very special. With the raising of this flag, we went from being yogis to being the foundation of a spiritual nation. Actually, he told us that we weren't even the foundation of the spiritual nation. We were the rocks under the foundation. He explained that a spiritual nation wasn't a country. It does not have territory or boundaries. It's defined by a shared spiritual commitment that we had become not the Woodstock nation, but we were now the Steel Stock nation. Let me read you what he said at that time. This is from the Beads of Truth issue, Summer Solstice, 1972. It records this history. He said, "We will have our own industries, our own businesses. We will provide our own jobs and our own culture. We will grow to be a nation of 960 million Sikhs in fulfillment of the prophecy of Guru Gobind Singh." He told us, "We are householders, and we will build families that are solid and together, and we will stand for each other." With the raising of this flag and with these words, it marked the birth of a spiritual nation. Now, at the same summer solstice, another huge historical event took place. Let's step back a bit. Nearly a year and a half prior to this historic summer solstice, on March 3rd, 1971, at the Akal Takht in Amritsar, India, this is the eternal throne established by Guru Hargobind to serve as the chief seat of religious authority of Sikhs throughout the world. Harbhajan Singh became the city Singh Sahib, and he was charged with the responsibility to return to the West and establish the Ministry of Sikh Dharma. This was the first time in history that anyone outside of Amritsar was granted this honor. So for the rest of that year, for the rest of 1971, the city Singh Sahib ordained 19 ministers, all of them men. Back in Mendocino, it's the last day of summer solstice, June 27th, 1972. Some of us were preparing for the weddings that were taking place that morning. Some of us were starting to pack up the camp. The city Singh Sahib was at his tent and he started calling out women's names. Now, in those days, when the city Singh Sahib called out somebody's name, you knew something big was about to change. He was going to engage them to be married, or he was going to send them to some far-off place to start an ashram. We knew something important was about to happen. This time, that something important was something that had never happened before. The women whose names he called gathered. He instructed them to form two lines, single file, in front of him. The rest of us were witness to the first ever ordination of women in the Sikh Dharma Ministry. Now, some might say that he just called out names and made people ministers. Truth is, he didn't just make us ministers. He saw the soul destiny of each person, and he gave us an opportunity to fulfill it. I want to show you something. I still have my original certificate of when I became a Sikh Dharma minister 1 year later in 1973. The spiritual nation that the Siddhi Singh Sahib envisioned at that summer solstice is what we serve today as Sikh Dharma ministers. Satnam.
My name is Siddharni Saiba Sadabahar Khalsa, and for the last year I have lived with my husband Mahanatma Singh at Hargobind Sudden Ashram in San Leandro, California since we left Miripidi Academy. I was ordained as a minister of Sikh Dharma in June of this year, 2012. Being a minister of Sikh Dharma means that the values that I have and the commitments that I live by as Khalsa are now in a sense magnified and expanded as I serve the larger community. In August of this year, I became a chaplain resident at California Pacific Medical Center in San Francisco. At this group of hospitals, chaplains from a variety of religious and cultural backgrounds work alongside the medical staff, serving the spiritual and emotional needs of the patients and their families. I've been quite amazed that in a city like San Francisco, so few people know about Sikhs or recognize our Bana. So as well as my work serving the spiritual and emotional needs of the patients, I also have a role as an educator, and I educate a wide variety of people about Sikhi. I never imagined that I would be blessed with this kind of experience in my life, and I am humbled and grateful to be able to serve by my presence in this way. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Satnam, my name is Guru Jodha Singh and I live in Mexico City. I think that being a minister of Sikh Dharma in the Aquarian Age is a vehicle for taking the teachings of Sikh Dharma, of Yogi Bhajan and of Kundalini Yoga into the lifestyles and to the homes of those people that have that longing. I became a minister because I realized that people wanted more than yoga class, more than teacher training. They wanted to have that vibration and the teachings of Guru Nanak in their home, in their marriage, with their children, as a help and as a consciousness to create a more harmonious lifestyle. So I think there's a lot to do. I think we can make our ministry stronger and more cohesive. And what I would love to see is the elders, those people that Yogi Bhajan trained directly to be ministers and that know a lot about the teaching of Sikh Dharma, to share it with the younger generations. Satnam, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
You know, I've been thinking about this. I have been living as a Sikh Dharma minister for all this time, and actually I really do what all the minister does. I just don't have the legal statement. Yeah, I think I'm ready to do this public commitment.
Yeah. Well, it's about time.
But I don't know how to do it, do you know?
Yeah, you do it all online. I'll show you. Let's go to sdministry.org. Okay, now on this website, there's a list of procedures. Number 1, before being considered a candidate, the person must have taken Sikh vows and been living as a Sikh for at least 3 years after taking the vows.
Check.
Number 2, the candidate is required to have 5 different letters of recommendation from 5 current, meaning up to date in all annual minister requirements, Sikh Dharma ministers. If the candidate lives in or near a minister center defined as a geographic area where 5 or more Sikh Dharma ministers live in fairly close proximity to each other, then the 5 letters must be from ministers from that center.
Okay, seems like Espanol it is a center of ministers though.
Exactly, definitely.
And if I didn't live close to a place that have a concentration of ministers?
Then you would just find 5 ministers from anywhere.
Okay, that seems easy.
Yeah. One of the letters must be from a member in the central section of the Khalsa Council. And Guru Ka Singh, he's in the central section.
Oh, do you think he would mind to write me a letter?
No, I think he'd love to.
But actually, is he a current minister?
I'm sure he is.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. What else? It is highly recommended that one of the letters be from the person's Sikh Dharma Grunti, if that person is also a Sikh Dharma minister.
That's Haridharam Kaur.
Yeah.
I think she can write something for me. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Is that a sample or something that we need to send to her so she can follow?
Let's see, the template is on page 3. Yes. So a candidate's contact information, number 1. Number 2, how long and in what capacity you have known this candidate. Number 3, what has this person been doing that warrants his or her becoming a Sikh Dharma minister? Number 4, what are this person's strengths? Number 5, what are this person's challenge areas? Number 6, is there anything in this person's past since they have become a Sikh that could jeopardize their ability to function as a minister now? Number 7, are there any areas of further development that you believe this candidate needs to strengthen before becoming a Sikh Dharma minister? And number 8, your contact information as the recommender. Then you send all these letters directly to the Secretary of Religion's office.
Wow, I got it. So I just need a bunch of ministers that knows me very well, knows my strengths and weakness, so they can give me advice which areas I need improvement. Then I ask them for write me letters, so this way everything works fine.
Exactly.
Man, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Preet Kaur, I bet you write me a letter.
Oh yeah.
So we have Haridharam, Guru Ka Singh, Preet Kaur. I think I can ask Gurmastak.
Yeah, Gurmastak is good.
And Japakor.
Japakar.
Oh man, that's so much easier than I thought it would be. Great.
Yeah.
Dr. Japa, I'm applying to become a Sikh Dharma Minister. Would you write me a letter of recommendation?
Sure, I would love to, but I'm not quite current. I have to go online and fill out my exam questions. www.sdministry.org. Once I finish the exam questions, I can even pay online. It's easy. And then all I have to do is scan in an email, a photo of myself, and scan in my signed letter of renewal. I can write your letter of recommendation this weekend.
Wow, that sounds terrific.
And while I'm on the site, I will read the latest SD Ministry newsletter. They're very good. www.sdministry.org.
Yeah?
Excuse me, babe.
Hey, sweet.
I have some news.
What's up?
I just got a mail back from the Office of the Secretary of Religion. My letters are already verified, and now I just need to set up my interview with Dr. Sadkar.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and I can even do by Skype.
Oh, that's so easy.
I'm so glad,
Oh,
babe.
great, babe.
Hey, I just had my minister interview. Yeah, and oh my gosh, I learned so much. And everything went well. Oh, good. And I'm taking my vows in the next solstice.